Welcome, everyone. We are introducing to Empowering Change. This is a series of reflection and learning modules designed specifically for the ResMap network. Our goal is to embrace resilience and drive meaningful change in our territories. First of all, what is UNESCO? To understand our framework, we must look at UNESCO, the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. Their mission is to promote global peace through international cooperation in education, science, and culture. And specifically, the aim is to help countries to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs. Also, through the Man and Biosphere program, it manages sites of ecological and cultural importance, such as biosphere reserve. What is a biosphere reserve? It's more than just a park. A biosphere reserve is a living laboratory and a place of learning for sustainable development. The Man and Biosphere approach represents a shift from traditional conservation, where human role, instead of seeing humans as untouchable, untouchable and excluded from nature. Now we have the holistic view, where human and well-being and ecology go hand in hand. Also, talking about resource management, we move from protected in a static way to an interconnected model of sustainable use of the resources. And the main purpose is that while in the past it was focused on preserving, now the biosphere reserve are focused on innovating the future of sustainable development. Just a quick view of the whole biosphere reserve of all around the world. There are 784 sites across 142 countries. In Spain, there are 55 biosphere reserves, and in our region, there are 7 of these 55 reserves is in our region. What is ResMap? ResMap is an international project funded by European Union throughout the Prima Foundation, which mission is to promote adaptation and mitigation solutions based on the WEFE nexus. WEFE means water, energy, food, and ecosystem. And what we want is to build landscape resilience against climate change in the Mediterranean Reserve. The project involves diverse partners across the Mediterranean, from Spain to France to Jordan, Slovenia, Italy, and Morocco. And this specific training module is designed to strengthen our technological and conceptual capacities. By following the WEFE Nexus approach, we ensure an integrated and sustainable understanding of our vital resources. The project involves a lot of partners across this Mediterranean area, and these are the general objective and also the specific objectives. There are many specific objectives, such as landscape management, a WEFE socio-ecological modeling tool, the creation of cross-sectoral policies and development and action plans, etc. And just to finish, this training module forms part of the training program developed within the context of ResMap project, in line with the principle of the WEFE Nexus. Remember that WEFE was water, energy, food, and ecosystem. Its contents has been designed to strengthen technical and conceptual capacity. And with all these objectives in mind, let's begin our journey towards the empowering change. Sorry. Yeah. And now, just remember that if you want any question for us, please write in the chat, because we have some problems with the AI translation here where we are. So if you have any problem, please write, okay, Alto Bernesga, we have a question for you. And then you can ask whatever you want and whatever you need. And now, Paul and Blanca and Paul, please, your turn.
Thank you, Veronica. And welcome back, everyone, to this session 4 of this itinerary that we're doing. So today we're going to be talking about marketing plan, what it is and what it's useful for, and we hope to bring a little bit of insight into all of this selling of our businesses, which is basically what a marketing plan is for. As Veronica was saying, also, I encouraged you, if you have any questions at any time, don't hesitate to write in the chat or to open the mic and let us know. We're here to help you. So what are the objectives that we have for today? So today we're going to be talking about marketing. What is a marketing plan? What is it for? And what are some of the key concepts that you need to take into account when thinking about marketing and branding of your products? We're also going to talk about some tools that you can use in order to develop a marketing plan. And then, as always, we will end with a real world example. So we will do that activity in the second part of the session. We will be doing the first part of the session, as always, with some theory. As I was saying, key concepts of marketing. What is a market assessment? What is a marketing mix? Then we'll take a little pause, as we usually do. And then we'll do a little tiny bit more of theory after the pause, and then to lay out what the activity will be. So this is the agenda for today. And now we go into what is a marketing plan. Okay. So some key concepts and what is a marketing plan? So what is a marketing plan? That's the first question. So a marketing plan it's a strategy. Yeah, it's a strategy that it's going to help us outline what we want to sell, how we want to sell it, to who we want to sell. And it's basically a roadmap in order to define, once we have our business plan and we have our business product, our business service, whatever we want to bring out to the public, it's going to help us define how best to sell this product or this service, depending on who our audience is, what are their needs, what are their gains, what are their pains. Remember, we've been talking a lot about this. And it's also going to help us see, once we've said who we're selling to and what they need, is going to help us also imagine what are the best channels to make our product or service available to reach out to the greater amount of people. And it's also taking into account, obviously, budget and how to make the business sustainable as well. Because if we don't have a good marketing plan, then also it's gonna and it's also gonna have an impact on the sustainability of the business. Yeah. So some key questions that a marketing plan should answer, related to what I was already specifying before about what it is first of all, what is the sector that my business or my service or my product is embedded in? What is the sector? What are the characteristics of that sector? So what I'm trying to sell and where I'm trying to sell it in a big word. Then who are customers? We've talked a lot about customers, and you're going to see that marketing is very much also linked to the customers. What are they like? What do they need? What do they want? How to obtain it? So very much customer oriented. Then also very important part of the marketing plan is, what is the competition that's out there? Who else is selling what I'm trying to sell? And to analyze this also, it's going to bring me to what else am I bringing that's different? No, so what value am I adding to what's already out there and the competitors that I have. What is the market like? The market is the link to the competitors, obviously. What is it like, and what is the size of the market, and how big it is also going to define how I need to sell my product or my service. And then how do I position myself, and what value am I bringing? And positioning is not only about what are the features that my product or my service has, but it has to do more with how my product or service is perceived. Yeah, so it's very much oriented to how the people are going to read, are going to feel about my product. Yeah, so position is not so much about the features of my product or my service, but more how my product or service is perceived by the customers. Yeah. So yeah, these are some of the key questions, and then we're going to go a little bit more into detail throughout the presentation today. So what is the main purpose of marketing? So the purpose of the marketing plan is it has to be a dialogue between listening to what people need, yeah, and adapting also the language to what people are thinking, what they need. And so it's very much like, as I was saying before, customer oriented, and it has to be a constant dialogue between what I'm offering and what people want to buy. Yeah. So as I was saying before, it's very important to focus the marketing into the customer, what the customer needs. So it's not about me selling my product, what I want to sell, and what are the characteristics of my product or service, but more what are the customers are going to perceive that I'm trying to sell. Yeah. So very much customer oriented. And it's not a static plan. A marketing plan is constantly evolving. Yeah, it's evolving because it evolves at the same time as the market evolves. So maybe I have a good marketing plan, but then in a couple of years, something happens, a new product comes from a competitor, whatever. So I need to be adapting, yeah, the marketing plan constantly as time passes and as different things happen. Yeah. So as I was saying, it's not static. It needs to be adapting, and it's very much a dialogue between my target audience and what I'm trying to sell. So there are three main cornerstones of the marketing plan, which is what is a customer segment, then what is my competition, and then how do I position myself in relation to those two. So what is a customer service segment? And we've talked a lot about this, and we're going to keep talking about this because we need to be thorough with this. What do we need to solve? Yeah. What does the customer need, and how I can solve this customer's need? Yeah. So understanding our customers, what do I offer them that's different from the rest? What is, how much are they willing to pay? Obviously, that's very important. And we were talking a little bit about that last week, when we were doing the viability plan. What am I willing to acquire, or how I can offer my product, yeah, to the customer? And also, what relationship do I want to establish between me and my customer? Yeah. So understanding very thoroughly the customer segment is going to have a very deep impact on the marketing plan. And then the second cornerstone is the competition. Yeah. Who are my competitors? Who else is out there selling something or providing something that I'm also providing? Yeah. How are they doing it? What are the main characteristics of the products they're offering? What is the size of the market? I was saying before, and like maybe if it's a small market and there's little competitors, then it's going to be easier to differentiate ourselves. But if it's a big market with a lot of competitors, then it's going to be harder to differentiate ourselves. And then to once I identify the competitors, what are my strong points and in regards to other competitors, but also what can I improve? Yeah. Also, competitors can give us a very interesting insight about how they do things better than we do them, and adapting as well what we do in order to improve it. Yeah. So once we have these two very clear ideas of my customer segment and my competitors, then we go into the third cornerstone, which is how do I position myself? Yeah. How do I position myself? And this is like, this has to do with where am I, which space I am going to occupy in the mind of my clientele. Yeah. A clientele that they all maybe have the same need, but like I can position myself somewhere in one place or in another, depending on the characteristics of my product. Yeah. So what space am I going to occupy? What is the image that they have of me in comparison to that of my competitors? Yeah. What am I bringing that's different? How do they perceive me? And it's also interesting to understand how do they perceive the competitors. And then what is the value curve of our product or service with respect to that of the competition? No, and we'll be talking a little bit more about the value curve further on in the presentation. So yeah, these are the key concepts to develop a marketing plan. And here are some of the common mistakes that happen. And marketing plans can fail because of a number of reasons. And here are some of them that we wanted to share with you. So biggest mistake of all, if we don't analyze the market beforehand. Yeah, if we don't understand who else is out there, then that's a big mistake that can bring us to develop a product or a service that's going to be a failure when we launch it. Yeah. Not asking our current environment, not co-creating. This has to do a lot with working in the environment that my market is where my product is located. Yeah. Always creating alliances with actors of the ecosystem is going to help us improve the marketing plan and boost the plan in the future. So it's very important to work within an ecosystem, the environment. Then not knowing the audiences in depth, that means not understanding fully in depth our customers and what they want and what they need. Not making the objectives tangible. Obviously, if we make an objective untangible, then like it's going to be harder to define a good marketing plan and to sell what I want to sell. Not segmenting the actions, meaning I don't have a very like clear marketing plan, but it's a blur of different actions that like are not very well laid out. So this is also a common mistake. Not investing in marketing. This would be the obvious. If I don't invest in marketing, then there's a big chance that I'm not going to manage to reach out there to my clientele. Not creating a two-way relationship and not providing value. This has to do obviously with what I was saying before about the constant dialogue between what I wanna sell and what the client needs. Yeah. So we always need to be thinking in this relationship that's going two ways. Yeah. It's not only going me to them, but it's also them to me, what they need, what they want, and making sure that what I'm creating and what I'm offering is bringing value to my clientele. Not measuring the results as well is another common mistake that can lead to a failure in the marketing plan. And then wanting to do everything yourself. This has to do also with the environment. It's harder to work alone than to work in an alliance with other actors. So we always encourage to, when we're defining a marketing plan, to look out there who are the agents and the other people that can provide me some support when defining my marketing plan. So this is the key concepts that of the marketing plan. And now we're going to pass on to the next bit of this theory. Paul, I hand you the microphone.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Blanca. Good to see you all again. Hope you've had a nice week and hope you enjoy today's session as well. And we hope it's engaging and profitable. Okay, so we're now moving into the idea of market assessment. This is where we start looking at the reality of the environment in which we operate. We cannot build a marketing plan or a commercial strategy without first sort of understanding the ground we are walking. So yeah, now we will start mapping this ground. Some of the concepts and ideas, as Blanca said, will be familiar to some of you from the very first session, but we will try to elaborate a little further, so it is useful to everyone, and we understand why it is important to do it properly in the first stage, and to keep reviewing it, keep revising it, to polish it, to make it more and more accurate along the development of a business idea, to make sure that the business model works for the people and the environment it is intended to work for. So to conduct a market assessment, we need to understand the type of market in which we operate, and we need to understand a little bit the status, no, and the supply and demand of this market. We have to understand first whether we are operating in a declining market, for instance, CDs, well, or is it a growing market, mental health therapies, or is it a sort of static market, more typical from basic goods and services such as groceries? No, we have to understand the territorial distribution of the market, the barriers to entry in this market. Do we need licenses to operate? Do we need a specific credential? Do we need an agreement with a specific type of provider, like public administration or social economy enterprises, or transnational companies, because a specific part of what we need to deliver comes from abroad? So these are the type of barriers that we might observe in a market. And we need to understand the maturity of this market before starting any commercial activities. Do consumers and producers know each other? Is everyone new? Do we need to educate the demand? Do we have providers that do not trust the sector for some specific reason? So that's what we mean by analyzing the market status. On the supply side, we have to look, well, at different instances or examples about competitors, for instance. Do we have big, long-lasting transnational companies, or just a bunch of small producers? Are they close by? Can people easily switch from our product to their product? So are there substitute products that people can change from one another in a short period of time? Or what's the price evolution? No, are prices stable along the time? And what are the main channels for sales? Okay, these are the type of ideas, concepts that we need to analyze before starting a commercial strategy. And we need, of course, that's the typical thing that everyone thinks of when thinking of market assessment and commercial strategies. We need to analyze the demand side of it. Okay, we focus on consumers as well. You know, who are they? What's the size of the market? How does this look like? No, the type of consumers, what we discussed the previous day. Are they businesses, or are they individuals? Are they rich, or are they public administrations with not so much money? What do they need? What do they want? Etc. Etc. Are they sensitive to price changes? If prices increase by a little bit, do they reduce by a lot their consumption, or is there a stable demand along time? We have to look at their consumption habits, how often they buy, and why, and through which channels. And in essence, understand a little bit the bargaining power of both suppliers, so other competitors, ourselves, but also our providers, and the clients, to sort of truly understand the margins in which we operate, no? In which we can modify our supply to adapt to the needs of the market. To understand a little bit our customer segment, we already discussed this a little bit, but essentially what we want to say is that data is important, but speaking to people is also as important as that, no? And we will give you three, but we could discuss a few more for sure. Techniques, no? In-depth interviews. Well, this is a qualitative research technique that consists of having sort of open conversations to uncover why people operate. What's the reason behind their actions, their motivations, their experiences, their emotions, okay? What they need and what are they looking for when they enter this type of market. We can run surveys. That's a quantitative sort of, or more quantitative research technique that would try to obtain more structured data, often standardized, with the objective of, again, understanding patterns in consumption. But sometimes, what people say is not what they do. And at some point, we need to start observing how they behave in front of, let's say, comparable products, comparable services, and how they interact with our competitors to get a more realistic view of their actual habits. Okay, that's the usual approach to getting to know our customer service. And if you remember from the previous sessions, what we propose is this tool, this template to define specific customer profiles, okay, through different layers, different categories. The name would be like the group, no? It could be small and medium enterprises, or it could be city councils, or it could be people with above median income in the region, or it could be international, consumers looking for sustainable products, or it could be low-income families who need basic and affordable food. Okay, so who they are, how are they, like characteristics, and why do they buy? But the core idea here, if you remember from the previous day, is understanding their characteristics. Are they satisfying this need in a different way at the moment? So if we are offering food, do they buy food from different places at this point? Or if we're offering fertilizer to grow better crops, are they growing crops in a different way at this moment? If so, what are their gains? What good things do they have from their current way of operating? And what are their pains? What are the things that are not satisfactory for them at this point in time with their current solution? Yep. And again, with that in mind, basically we keep filling in, or we encourage you to then do a step further, no? And start seeing, okay, the characteristics of the product or service that you want to offer, and how do you maximize their gains. If their happiness comes from having cheap food that is close by, how do we compete on those dimensions, or at least do not lose? And if their pains are that it's not as sustainable as they would like to be, or whatever, how do we compensate those pains or improve those pains? Yeah. So that's a little bit the structure, but the idea of that's the structure of how to identify customer segments. But the idea, especially for those of you that are already running to an extent some project or already doing some tests, is that you can incorporate research into your daily operations. Okay, market research should not be a one-time event. It's not something that we do and then forget about it, but it's part of the routine of an entrepreneur or a policymaker or someone who wants to deliver value to clients or users, okay? And there are many natural ways to keep our ears open to feedback from consumers and users, okay? We can use the sales process to ask quick questions. We can look at recurrent users. Why do they keep coming back? What's the thing that they like the most? And we need to analyze and try to maximize those dimensions. We need to pay attention at what's going on in social media, of course. And we need to take advantage of fairs and events to see what the industry is looking about. So basically what we try to say from the very first day is, along these sessions, we try to provide you with standardized tools to identify your customer segment, to define your business model, to test the financial and economic feasibility of the project. But none of these tools is a final product, let's say. Those are all things that should help you adapt, customize, improve, optimize your project. Yeah. And that's exactly the same with any commercial and marketing activity. By integrating these habits, our marketing plan becomes sort of living document that evolves as the market changes. We identify new pains in people. Well, then we try to see if we can address those. Or we identify new gains, things that for social, cultural trends, people start valuing more. Well, then we try to maximize those. Yeah. And in essence, what we try to build is an analysis of how our product or our service positions, let's say, in the market, and what value do we bring. And to do that, there is this option, this tool, which is the value curve, which is a tool to move from abstract analysis to a simple but useful representation of this positioning, because it shows exactly where we stand in the customer's mind compared to our competitors, okay? And to do this, we first have to identify the variables that influence the decision of a customer to buy, okay? The most typical one would be price, yeah? But maybe if we recall from the business idea that we developed 2 weeks ago, so in therapies, we could think of different things that the customers assess or take into consideration when buying. If you would like to drop some ideas in the chat, we can discuss them. But essentially, the variables are typically price. It could be quality. It could be quantity as well, the ability to buy at scale. No, if my client is a school, I might be the best therapist in the world, but if I cannot deliver group sessions for 4 classes at one day, they will not come to my therapies, let's say. Yeah. What other variables do you think could influence people's decisions to purchase, let's say, nature-based therapies? Would you like to drop a line in the chat? I give you some hints in the screen. So essentially, this is a practical application, let's say, very simple way to visualize this value curve. In this case, we map 5 variables that someone might take into consideration when purchasing our good or services. And these are the quality. So is the do we give the best quality in materials or in services? It could be price. It could be proximity. Is it the closest one to the customer segment that I'm targeting? It could be completeness. Okay, what is completeness? Well, it means that to see whether we are offering a holistic, a complete support in all the areas that the customer might look like. Some people might be very good, if we're talking about therapies, might be very good at job-related anxiety, but not so good if I start needing support in relationships or friends or family. Yeah. So completeness might be another variable. Or prestige. Is it prestigious? Do I gain social, let's say, capital or social value by commenting that I've visited this service or that I purchase that good? Yeah. So that's a little bit how a value curve works. We define the key dimensions in which we think customers base their decisions, and we position ourselves compared to competitors. We might not be doing very good in price because there are 2 that are cheaper than us, but we might be the ones that are closest to the customers, and we might be the ones offering the most comprehensive service, although we are not the best in quality, but we offer a 360 degrees support. Yeah, that's the type of discussion we have to have with ourselves and with our stakeholders. Why? Because once we identify where we are doing best, we can decide whether we need to work more on other dimensions or we need to base our commercial strategy in the dimension in which we perform best. Yep. So in this case, proximity and completeness. Does it make sense? Is there any dimension you think should be here and it is not? Yeah, thank you, Jaula. Some people choose experiences because it's trendy or aesthetic, definitely. Yeah, exactly. That's the type of things we need to think. Great. Good. So with that in mind, we need also to understand the way consumers interact with our product or with our service. Okay, we already discussed as well. We had a glance at the user journey during the very first session, I think. But essentially, the idea is today the experience during the purchasing process is very important, and sometimes it is as important as the product itself, okay? Because consumers also value the entire journey and the way they discover, they research, what they obtain from that, and also the value they get after purchasing it. Yeah, so basically the user journey defines these different stages. And it helps us ask one very important question, which is, do we know exactly what potential customers or users do during the process of making this decision? or do we just expect them to show up? If we're expecting them to show up, that's not an accurate, let's say, marketing or commercial strategy. We need to understand where do they come from, when do they get to know us, when do they start having a certain degree of awareness about the type of product or service that we offer, and when, how, and why do they make the purchase decision. Yeah. So that's what the user journey does. It defines the different stages of the purchasing process that the customer goes through until the sale and after. Yep. And in line with that, a very, 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 very useful tool in marketing and commercial strategies is the conversion funnel. Yeah, that's what we will do at the end of the session today as part of the exercise. The conversion funnel basically represents these stages that we were discussing, the stages a client goes through before the purchase and sometimes after. Okay, the typical one starts with awareness. No, how do they suddenly, if I offer mental health services, how do they suddenly become aware of the existence of mental health therapies in the vacuum, let's say, not necessarily mine? How do they move to consideration, start considering my services? How do they make the final decision to purchase? And it ideally ends with promotion. That's the typical structure, but actually it can be adapted to different products and different services, and it could also be adapted to different customer segments. Yeah. So, for instance, if it's a kid, no, their awareness, it's relatively important, let's say, because their awareness comes from the awareness of parents and school teachers. Yeah, and their consideration, it happens in collaboration. But sometimes we might have some customer segments who are already very, very, very aware of mental health needs and therapies nowadays. Whereas we might like young people. But sometimes we might have people who are not so aware of the importance of mental health and the importance of mental health therapies. Let's say old people feeling lonely in a home care institution. Well, depending on the customer segment, depending on the service, we might need to put more stress in the awareness part of the marketing and commercial strategy, whereas in other cases, we might need to put more stress in the consideration, in the discussion, in the engagement. Yeah. Or some of them might have more than 4 phases, and they might start with attracting them to our website, converting them into regular uses of, for instance, a free service. If we offer a web page that is free for them to ask for, or read some general articles on mental health, well, that's a conversion, let's say, no? But that's still not engagement, because they are not actively engaging with us. Yeah, so they would stay in phase 2, but not switch to phase 3 and not switch to phase 4. So basically, the conversion funnel is, again, the path that they go through. And it is useful because it helps us set targets. We need, if we decided that we want to do 100 sales, maybe we need 1,000 people being aware, 500 considering purchase, so that 100 end up purchasing. Yeah. So that's a little bit the idea. And we must adapt the, let's say, marketing actions to the type of funnel that different customer segments, different products and services might face. Yeah. That's a little bit the idea of a customer segment, and that's what we will build. If we set a goal in sales, how many people do we need at engagement, at conversion, and at attraction? Does it make sense? Is it sort of clear? Do you have doubts, comments, whatever? Yeah. One example, okay, of the conversion funnel. Let's say that we start with attraction and awareness. We have a platform online, let's say, and our first stage of the conversion funnel is attracting new users, having people registering or having people visiting our website, having people, reading as many articles on mental health as possible. And we could define some marketing actions, some commercial actions dedicated to this stage. Promote our website, share it with different type of institutions, send links to influencers, etc., etc. Yeah, that would be in the attraction or awareness stage. Phase 2, well, start creating leads, no? Start creating active users who leave data, who subscribe to the blog, who start interacting with each other, discussing, well, their specific needs, what their preferred type of therapies, people sharing with us feedback on the articles that we publish. Yeah, and we could have different type of marketing of commercial strategies linked to phase 2. For instance, well, push notifications in our website or in our app, some marketing email, encouraging them to interact or to subscribe to specific newsletters. Yeah. Phase 3, retention. We start engaging with customers. They perceive the value of the product or service for their specific need, and they try to find the type of agreement, the type of therapy, the type of, let's say, service that they are looking for. Are they looking for a one-off session just to test, or are they looking for a fee, a flat fee that allows them to access therapies along the year when they want it? Or are they looking for a family experience so that they don't need to go alone in the first place? Yeah, so that's a different type of marketing and commercial strategy that helps people perceive the value of the product, of the service. Yeah. Let me drink some water. Sorry. So, yeah, different type of marketing, different type of commercial actions, depending on the stage of the funnel. Yeah, clear? Stage 4, monetization. Well, customer makes a decision, they pay for the product or service. And again, there are also different types of commercial actions, of marketing actions that will help them move from being interested to actually paying. Do they need an offer in the first session, or do they need a pay one, come twice offer, no? So that they can come with a friend? Or do they need some fast fast payment methods? Or do they need to break the payment into trenches in the first place if it's too expensive for them. Yeah, so different commercial strategies, different marketing to make sure that they move from stage 3 to stage 4. And finally, that's optional, but it's usually the case, they become fans, they are loyal, they are happy with the service, and we help them not only come again, but recommend us, share the experience, encourage other people to join the service. Yeah. And again, we have different commercial strategies to help them move from being customers to being fans. For instance, get a discount if you bring a friend. Yeah. So that's where the user journey, the idea of the process a customer goes through when making the decision to purchase, links with marketing, with commercial activities. If we know their process, we can set goals. We need, in order to be sustainable, in the feasibility plan we did the previous week, we found that we need 100 sales to be sustainable. Okay, if I need 100 people in stage 4, how many do I need in stage 3, stage 2, stage 1? Yep. Is that clear? Anyone comments, discussions, doubts? Do you think we could make a funnel with 15 stages, for instance? Yeah, Marie, tell me.
Yes, you're asking how. I'm wondering, how do you count if you want 100 on stage 4?
Mm-hmm.
How do you know on stage 1? Do you have a reference for this, or?
Yeah, that's a good question. So easy answer would be you don't know. You need to make hypotheses. And again, this should help you make actions and make decisions. So if you, let's say you made your hypothesis and you agreed that, yeah, I feel I can convince 100 people to pay if I have 1,000 ones just aware, then you need to make specific actions to make this possible. That's the easy answer, let's say, is it is your job to make sure that this funnel is realistic and feasible. Sometimes, of course, if you are an organization that has already been working, you have your own funnels and a general idea of the level of conversion. But also you can rely, let's say, on research. No, there's plenty of research on digital marketing, for instance, from the number of people that click on ads, how many of them end up making a purchase decision. But essentially, in the initial stages of a business project, what we say is that this is not a bet. This is not about you making a bet that, yeah, I think that with 1,000, 10 will buy. It's about making a commitment. If you say that from 1,000 you can make 10 sales, from 1,000 aware you can make 10 sales, you need to take specific action on these 10 people to make sure that indeed they will end up purchasing. Yeah, it's not a great answer, but that's how it works with making decisions and commercial plans.
And I expect there are many differences between digital market business or real life business.
Yeah, indeed.
Bakery.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be. We say digital because it's the easy way to see it nowadays. But of course, it can be everything. Could be, let's say, physical. So awareness. If I'm selling, let's keep it with the therapies. No, if I am selling, let's say, group therapies, the awareness could be how many schools I'm gonna ring in my region to let them know that, well, we are offering this service and there is a mental health crisis among teenagers, etc., etc. From these 1,000 calls, how many of them will read the blog? How many of them might be interested in that? And from the, let's say, 500 that read the blog, how many of them will start discussing among them, oh yeah, actually in my school we had this problem, in the other school we had the other problem, and they will ask me, yeah, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And from these 100 that indeed engage in some level of discussion, how many of them will eventually make a purchase? And we need specific actions to make sure that this conversion from stage 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 happens. It's not that I hope that it will happen. I will do the calls in the first stage. I will call again in the second stage to make sure that they register. And I will encourage discussion and participation in the blog to make sure that there's also conversion from stage 2 to stage 3. So yeah, it could everything be based on discussion and not just on online ads, let's say. Yeah.
Okay, but generally it's like a few percent. It's very, there is a very few conversion between stage 1 and stage 4, more or less. It's what, about 5%, 10% maximum?
Yeah, it depends on the sector, let's say, and also on the scale. Like if you have a business, a short answer would be yes. It's a very low, like 2%, 3%, 5%, 6%. Okay. But if you have a business that it's based in trust, for instance, I have a very small business that offers painting lessons to the parents of the friends of my kid in school. Well, this I will offer it to 30 people, but I am already sure that 10 of them will buy. That's a conversion rate of 30%, but because the business itself is based on trust. But if we have larger businesses that are, let's say, less personal, the typical ratio would be 3, 4, 5, 6% would be amazing, actually.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Paula says, so the funnel helps identify where people lose interest during the process. Yes, exactly. I wouldn't say it might be a loss of interest, but it might also be a different type of barrier. They might be interested, but maybe they realize it's too expensive, or they realize it's too complex for them, or they realize they cannot get there because it's far away, or they cannot access it because it's not accessible for families with kids with disabilities, for instance. Yeah, but yeah, essentially it helps identify where people lose interest during the process. And again, all commercial actions might be physical, digital, whatever. Okay, is that any other comment, any other idea? No? Cool. Then that's about it. Again, sorry, just remember that we can, as we said with the business model and the customer segment, this is a plan. It's something that keeps changing. It's something that you keep updating, and you might have different actions inside each stage. Yeah, different targets for stage 1, different targets for stage 2. Okay, with that in mind, I think we're switching to the marketing mix, so I'm handing the floor to Blanca.
Thank you, Paul. Okay, so once we have an understanding of the market, yeah, we did the market study, we understand very well the customers, what they want, what they need, the competition, what's out there, the market size, the sector, and everything. So then we enter into what we call the marketing mix. And the marketing mix is basically a combination of strategic decisions that I need to make in order to lay out my marketing plan. Yeah. So throughout the following slides, we will be seeing a little bit more about each of the elements and components of this marketing mix. So before that, we wanted to share with you something that's relevant, which is the value proposition, which obviously we've been talking a lot about. What do we offer to our clients? And we wanted to make this concise because the value proposition is it's key to differentiate the brand, yeah, what I'm offering. And we have here this example, okay, which is it's a coffee subscription example, and it's a very clear example for you to see what are strategic pillars of a brand that can be decisive in order to sell a product to our customer. Yeah. So in this specific example, for example, we have a coffee brand that is it offers subscription and delivery to our clients. Yeah, and it has the delivery service it brings it to your floor, to your house. Yeah. So it's offering three pillars. It's offering it's high quality. It's a high quality service. It's offering comfort and convenience, yeah, because it's bringing it to your house. But it's also offering unique customer experience. So these three elements combined together is what it's going to differentiate this brand in a very competitive market, which is coffee, yeah. So if a coffee brand manages to differentiate itself with this value proposition, yeah, I not only offer you a very high quality product, which is the coffee that I'm selling you, but I also am offering you comfort and convenience because I'm bringing you home. And I add to this the unique customer experience that I'm offering you. And this is going to help really like the value proposition that's bringing to this brand, you know, it's going to differentiate this product. Yeah. So always keep this in mind when we're thinking about marketing plan. Yeah. How we are selling this value proposition to our customers. So what are the core elements of a marketing mix? So on the left here, we have the market assessment, which we've been talking about. Yeah, what is the market? What is the clients? What are the competitors? And how I position myself. And here on the right, what we have is the key elements of the marketing mix. The key elements of the marketing mix are the product, yeah, or service, yeah, what I'm providing, what I'm selling, yeah. Then the price. How much does that cost? How much am I offering this product or service? Then the distribution, how I'm going to make this product or service reach to my customers. The communication, how I'm going to communicate what I'm selling and how this information is going to reach to my customers. And then participation, which is something linked to what we were saying before about always listening, no, what our customers need and how we can also engage our customers and also the definition of my brand. And we were going to see each of these elements one by one and go a little bit more into details. So first of all, product. So what's very important when we're talking about our product is that the product or service, it includes both tangible and intangible attributes. Yeah. So when we're talking about a product, we're not only talking about a physical object, yeah, what the customer sees or can touch or can smell or can taste or whatever, but also we're talking about the whole customer experience connected to the offer that I'm making. Yeah. And customers evaluate the products not only as something functional, like what this is going to bring me in a functional way, but more also in an emotionally way. Yeah. What is connecting with the emotions, what my product or service is connecting emotionally with my client. Yeah, and this is very important because this is also has to do with what's tangible and what's intangible. Yeah. For example, when we were talking before about coffee, yeah, a customer that's buying coffee, they're not only buying the drink in itself, yeah, the coffee that they consume, but maybe they're valuing the convenience of how they acquire that coffee. You know, if they're bringing it to my house, then that's a plus, how convenient that is. The brand identity, how that customer links to the brand as a whole, yeah. The packaging design, how that's packaged, how I see it physically on the outside. The customer service that's offering me this brand. The sustainability, and that's a big thing nowadays. Now that we're talking more, the clients are demanding more and more sustainability in the products that they're buying. Yeah, the atmosphere or experience associated with the product. Sorry. So all of these things, as I was saying, we need to differentiate what's tangible that what's an intangible attributes. Yeah. And so tangible, when we talk about tangible, we're talking about physical elements, obviously, such as the design, the packaging, the size, the quality, the durability of the product or service. Yeah. But intangible attributes are fundamental as well. And these include, what is the reputation of the brand? No, the trust, which we were talking about before. No, do I generate this trust in my customers? The customer experience linked to the trust, yeah, or the emotional connection that I'm establishing with my clientele, yeah. So we may have two products that, no, I'm still in products, sorry, Paul. We might have two products that are very similar in the technical characteristics and the tangible, yeah, characteristics, but that they're perceived very differently because of the branding or customer experience. No, so that's why also we always have to keep in mind both tangible and intangible. Yeah. Some more examples of products. Yeah. For example, luxury brands. For example, sometimes they often premium packaging, yeah, a personal service or exclusivity, yeah, to reinforce their positioning. But on the other hand, low-cost brands, they focus more on simplicity or accessibility or efficiency, yeah. So these are like different approaches when we're defining characteristics or attributes of our products that we need to keep in mind, very much related to the customer segment I'm trying to reach. Yeah. And product decisions, all the decisions that I make in relation to when I'm designing my product, yeah, they always have to align with the customer expectations, yeah, and also the value proposition. So they have to be aligned in order to guarantee that what I'm saying I'm going to sell is actually what the client is seeing or touching or perceiving, or how he or she connects to the product, yeah. Okay, so this is in a nutshell, what things I wanted to share about product. Now, the next key element is price. So pricing. Price, as Paul was mentioning before, is a very strategic decision that's going to influence a lot on my marketing plan and how I'm going to sell my product, yeah. And it influences positioning, demand, and profitability. Obviously, depending on the price that I establish, yeah, it's gonna have a very big influence in these things. Where do I position myself? In respect to my competitors, the demand that I'm gonna get if my price is lower or higher, and how profitable my business is gonna be. Yeah, so it's a very, very powerful element of the marketing mix. And it's gonna affect directly the revenue that I'm gonna get from my business, but also the brand perception, how people are gonna perceive my brand depending on the pricing strategy that I say. Yeah. And it's very important to keep in mind that pricing is not only a financial calculation. Yeah. I'm not only defining my pricing in relation to how much it costs me to produce that, but also it's a communication tool. It's a very powerful communication tool because it signals the quality of my product, where I'm positioning myself with regards to the rest of the market and the competition, and what target audience I'm targeting. Yeah, depending on the price I fix. If it's very high, it's definitely like one type of audience. If it's lower, it's another type of audience. So it's a very powerful element, as I was saying. And in order to define the pricing decisions, the strategy, we must take into account not only internal, but also external factors. When we talk about internal factors, obviously we're talking about how much it costs me to produce that product or service, what profit margins I want to make, obviously, what is the business sustainability and the scaling needs that I need of my business in order to reach this sustainability. So these are all like internal factors that I need to take into account. But external factors, very important, are how much is the customer willing to pay? Obviously, we need to take that into account because otherwise they're not going to buy it. What is the competition pricing? What are the rest of my competitors offering for the same product that I'm offering? Yeah. And what are the market conditions and the position strategy that I have in regards to the rest? And also the price sensitivity. Yeah. How demand is also going to change when the price changes. This is all external factors that I need to take into account when defining my pricing strategy. And there are different types of pricing strategies that I want to introduce to you very briefly that we can take into account when defining a strategy. We have, for example, what it's called the penetration pricing, which is one that you start with an initial very low price in order to gain market quickly, to reach out to the most customers at the beginning. So that's the penetration pricing. Then we have skimming pricing, which is we have a high initial price for something that's premium, innovative, a new product that is it's different from what's out there. So that's what's called the skimming pricing. The value-based pricing is pricing that is based on how the customer perceives the value rather than the actual cost. Yeah. So it's not how much it costs me to produce it, but how the customer perceives the value of what I'm offering. That's a value-based pricing. And then competitive pricing is obviously when you're aligning yourself with other undercutting competitors. Yeah, when you see that your product, the same product that you're offering, somebody else is offering for a lower price, and you're like, okay, I'm going to try to do a competitive pricing and lower the pricing of my product in order to align with the competitors. Yeah. Then there's other types of pricings that are interesting. For example, the psychological pricing. You guys know when they put $0.99, $1.99 or $1.95. Yeah, that's a type of psychological pricing that's going to influence perception, how people perceive it. It's obviously psychological more than anything. Yeah. And talking about luxury, a luxury example. Yeah. For example, a luxury brand uses high prices to reinforce the exclusivity. Yeah. My prices are very high, but that's why they're exclusive, and that's also appealing to a specific type of customers or segment. Yeah. And just to summarize a bit, pricing has to be aligned with positioning, as I was saying before, and what I'm offering needs to be aligned. The price that I'm offering needs to be aligned with where I want to position myself. And if that's not aligned, if there's a mismatch between those two, it can seriously damage the brand credibility that I'm trying to establish. Yeah. And finally, to say that pricing as well as in general, a marketing plan is not static. Yeah, it's something that needs to be tested, it needs to be adjusted and optimized as depending on the market feedback that I'm getting. Yeah, so I can start with a specific price, and then I can see if I can change my pricing or not, depending on how the market is reacting to my product or service. Okay, so moving on to the next element of the marketing mix, we have promotion. So promotion defines how a brand communicates the value, yeah, and how it builds the relationship with the audience, yeah, with the clientele. So it's sort of like the communication engine of the marketing mix, yeah, and it's not only about advertising the product or the service, but it's more of a full communication strategy, yeah, that's going to shape the perception of the clientele, and it's going to drive the actions that I'm going to engage in order to reach my clients and my clientele. So very important when talking about promotion, target the audience who we're speaking to, again, target the message, what we want them to remember. Yeah, what is the main message that I'm bringing out there, and what's the word or the phrase that they're going to stick with when I do a campaign or whatever. What are the channels that I'm going to be using? Yeah, where the message is delivered. And then very important, the timing, when and how often the communication occurs. And the timing is very important because it's going to influence as well a good outcome of the marketing mix. Yeah. There are different types of promotional tools that we can use. We can use advertising. Yeah. It can be digital. It can be on TV. It can be on print, on social media, whatever. It can be content marketing, for example, blogs or videos or even educational content that we can make. It can be public relations or media relations that are I'm using to channel my message. It can be sales promotions. Yeah, if we offer discounts or incentives to sell my product or service. Or it can be direct marketing. Direct marketing is what we call when we send emails or newsletters, a specific targeting our clients directly, yeah? And there's a very strong link between promotion and the customer journey, yeah, that Paul was talking about before. So depending on the different stage of the customer journey, whether it's the awareness stage or the consideration stage or the decision stage or the loyalty stage, we have to think about what promotion channel or element I'm using depending on this journey, yeah? So in the awareness stage, it's very important to use attention grabbing content, yeah, ads, like something that's quick but brief and like simple, and that's going to grab the attention of our customers, yeah. Then in the consideration journey, we maybe want to bring out more informative and educational content, yeah, give a little bit more of information of what I'm providing, what I'm offering, what's going to solve, what of your need is going to solve, etc. Then decision stage is more, we can use more testimonials or offers or proof of other clients that have already tested the product and they want to share how that product worked for them, yeah? And then in the loyalty stage, we have to focus our promotion more on retention campaigns, yeah? So how we build, we keep building the community that we have, how we retain what we already have, yeah? So the way we promote the product is gonna change depending on the customer journey and the different stages that our customers are at. And storytelling, as you remember, we already mentioned storytelling is a very powerful marketing tool, and it's gonna also help us when we decide our promotion and the marketing mix, yeah? We tell stories to humanize the brand, for people to feel more connected to it emotionally. And this is also gonna help engagement, yeah, from our clientele. And one last thing about promotion, is there's a common mistake that happens sometimes in promotion, that we send inconsistent messages in different stages of our promotion campaign and our marketing plan. So that can damage greatly the marketing plan and the brand in general. Yeah. Okay. So we now pass to distribution. Okay. So distribution basically determines how easily and conveniently customers can access the product or service that I'm selling. Yeah. So it's distribution is like a bridge between my brand, my company, and the customer. Yeah. And even a great product can fail if we don't have a bridge that's functional, let's say, no, that's not, that a product is not accessible at the right time or the right place for my customer. So distribution channels are very important. And what we need to define is where the product is going to be sold, how it's going to be delivered, and how quickly our customers can access this product. Yeah. And these three things, where, how, and how quickly, are fundamental for this bridge that we're building, yeah, between us and our customers. There are different distribution channels that we can use. We can use direct channels, like selling directly to our customers, whether it be online or on stores or other type of direct channels. They can be indirect channels, what we call, for example, marketplaces or retailers or wholesalers or other type of indirect channels. And then it can also be a hybrid model between direct or indirect. There's also these models, yeah. Distribution is not only about logistics. This is very important to keep in mind. It's not only about the delivery speed, the reliability. These things are important, obviously, but it's more about the strategy as a whole. Yeah, the strategy of how fast or how quickly or how well or how soon or how easily my customers can access my product. Yeah, and there are different type of distribution strategies. There's what we call the push strategy, where a product is pushed through intermediaries. Yeah, but there's also the pull strategy, where we're generating the demand so the customers actually seek what I'm selling. Yeah. And very important to keep in mind the customer convenience when thinking about distribution. Yeah, reducing friction between conversion rates for our customers, and availability. Yeah, the availability of the product is very important in order to that influence the purchasing decisions. Maybe I want a product that's very ecological and it's I know it's the best for the environment, but like it's not available at that moment, and it's not going to be available for another month, and I really need that product, so therefore I'm going to go with a competitor because it's available even though it's not ecological. Yeah, so availability is also a key element here. And yeah, what I was saying before, distribution is not just logistics, it's part of the whole customer experience. Yeah, so we need to keep this in mind as well. Okay, and I think we have the last one, which is participation. Yeah, so participation has to do with what we were telling before about listening actively to our customers and what they want and what they need. Because what we find today is that customers are no longer passive. Yeah, they're actively shaping brands and products, and more nowadays. So participation is the evolution of marketing towards co-creation in a way. And we have many examples of brands that are using participation of their potential customers or clients in order to shape the products or services that they're designing. Yeah. So customers that are interacting with brands in real time, yeah, it's gonna also bring back some value, which is we're gonna make this we're gonna fidelizar. I can't think of the word now. Sorry. They're loyal. Thank you. They're going to be loyal customers. Those that are involved in a way in the co-creation of the product or the service. Yeah, they're going to become loyal customers, and they're also going to share this experience with other potential customers. So it's very important to, whenever possible, have this participation in the marketing mix, because it's going to help us shape a product that actually is going to align very well with what our customers want and what they need. Yeah. So different forms of participation in a marketing mix. We can have feedbacks, reviews, yeah, social media engagement. We can have product customization and personalization. We can have community participation in the brand development. Yeah. And what I was saying before about co-creation, yeah, we have some companies that are already involving the customers in designing their products or services, which I was saying it increases the loyalty of these customers. And social media is having a very big role in this participation nowadays, yeah. Platforms that allow the two-way communication between brands and customers, yeah. And the brands are actually listening and they respond to what's being posted on social media. Yeah, like when a client leaves a bad review and then you see that that brand is replying and saying, I'm sorry you had a bad experience, let me fix that for you, no? So we see that social media is having a very big impact nowadays in the way brands are reshaping the relationship with their customers. Yeah. Well, I think that's it for participation. Does anybody have questions, doubts, comments, anything about all of the stuff that we've been sharing the last slides? No? Okay. Well, we're going to go into the pause now.
Basically, outbound is the traditional strategy in a brand pushes messages out to achieve a direct sale. So it's about being proactive, reaching out to the customer, thinking of traditional media ads, email marketing, social media ads, no, things that make people make up their minds to purchase something. That's outbound marketing. Whereas inbound marketing is an action that tries to generate interest, okay? It is about positioning nice content, something that acts as a magnet and attracts the customer, let's say, to your brand, but naturally, okay? And these are also blogs. It can also be media content, but not oriented towards sales, but oriented towards generating a narrative, generating a state of thought, generating, let's say, a comfort zone in which your product or service makes sense, in which your product or service is naturally interesting. Yeah. The goal of inbound marketing is to try make the customer be the one who approaches you, because they find value in the stories that we share without us necessarily telling them the product or the service. Yeah. Some real world examples of both cases, you know, in the inbound side, would be blogs with educational articles, what we said about a space for discussion on mental health needs, on the mental health crisis. It could be media content like videos or podcasts, something that creates a narrative, that creates a state of mind, of awareness on this issue, that makes it necessary for the customer to approach the immediate solution that they have close by. This is your product, your service. But it is also, like good relationships with people interested in an association, in an assembly, in a group of people, in a social movement, through newsletters or other sort of activities that help create a new consensus around the importance of the need that you address. Yeah. Whereas the outbound would be the ones where we reach out to the customer. Okay, it could be email marketing, but it could also be cold calling. It could also be billboards on the streets. It could be radio, sports radio advertisements. It could be social media ads on Instagram, on LinkedIn. It could be whatever you think that is a direct invitation to purchase your good or service. Yeah. And of course, as we said, it's not about choosing one or the other. It's about building a balanced strategy. Okay, they both have advantages and inconvenience, and we need to make sure we are using both of them along the process. Why? Because this will also help us understand where do people lose interest in our conversion funnel. Yeah. Is it the last call, the last push to monetize, the one that keeps people outside of our product or service? Is it a state of mind in terms of awareness, or is it something in between? Is it part of our sales process? Look, the inbound marketing has some good things. It has a magnet effect, no? Nice content, like an influencer discussing about mental health issues, makes potential customers somewhat naturally attracted to mental health therapists in their region. Okay, and it also creates, let's say, lasting links. What we say, long-lasting things, which basically means that if the customer approached us actively because they arrived to a state of mind in which it made sense to ask for our products or services, this also generates a sense of value, a sense of loyalty and strong relationship that favors long-term, let's say, loyalty, word of mouth recommendations, and being a recurrent user of this product or service. Okay, and inbound marketing is also great for brand positioning. Okay, it's not about selling a product or a service, it's about selling a story. What we discussed on the very first day, people are not interested in a product or service. They care about a need, and they care about whoever addresses that need. Yeah. So inbound marketing, it's about creating this narrative that makes consumers and potential customers approach our product or services. However, it has, of course, like inconvenience or challenges. Yeah. Inbound marketing usually delivers results in the medium or long term, because building this sort of trust, building the energy, the capacity to actively approach a service provider takes time. People will not see a generic content on mental health and think about calling their therapist right away. So it takes time. And there is risk of intoxication or, let's say, overpopulation. Why? Because content marketing, this type of stories and social media typically, is a very crowded space. There's a lot of noise. So it is difficult to stand out from the competition. And also, it might not directly lead to your service provision. Inbound marketing might push people towards being interested in this type of product or service, but it might not be directly to your product or service. Yeah. And it has some challenges in terms of measuring returns, measuring the returns on investment. This ROI means return on investment. And it's hard to measure whether a new sale came from a specific impact, a specific narrative, a specific branded content in social media. Yeah. Whereas in the outbound marketing, we have some advantages. It's very, it has powerful segmentation tools. Google Ads, Meta, they allow us to direct visual stories, audio-visual stories, also radios. They allow us to target a specific hour in the day within a specific program that maximizes the number of people who look like our customer segment and we want to reach out. So it has powerful segmentation tools. It might lead to faster results. It's more aggressive, and results are short-term because they are directly oriented towards consumption. It's not about the state of mind. It's not about a narrative. It's not about them actively approaching. It's about selling. And it is easy to measure how many people clicked from that specific ad on social media. How many people look like the customer segment that we targeted in that specific radio program. Yep. But it has some negative, let's say, the inconvenience, some downsides, some challenges. First thing, especially in digital environments, but also in physical ones like letters at home, also in cold calling. Cold calling would be a type of outbound marketing. It can be very, very, very intrusive. It interrupts the user experience or people's life on what they are doing. It's an ad popping up while you are watching a video. It's you calling someone while they are at home. It's you sending a letter to someone at home. So it might not be appealing to many people if it interrupts their usual lives. Also, it's very costly. Whatever you do, running campaigns in these channels can require a very high investment. If I need to call all the schools that might be interested in my group therapies for school-age kids, that's a person working full-time just making calls. And maybe they can call, let's say, 20 schools a day. Yeah, that's a very low number at the end of the day. So returns might be costly. And it's also less emotionally binding, let's say. These tactics are usually, we say they are usually like transactional. You convince someone to purchase something because on the spot you manage to convince them that it is useful, but it does not generally generate a commitment. It often doesn't link the user and the brand, or the brand and the audience. It doesn't support recurrent use. So they have their advantages and inconvenience. As Rafael says, both can be used at the same time, and it's better to combine them. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the point. Of course, what our point with this is to say, first, resources are limited, so you need to decide what you do and how you distribute your budget, your resources, your energy. And second, you need to understand what is best when thinking about your conversion funnel. Okay, let me go back to the conversion funnel. If you are here and you see that you have 1 million people in awareness, but you only have 3 people who finally buy your product, you need to see, okay, do I have a problem in terms of people making decisions, and I need an aggressive outbound strategy? Or if I have, in the other hand, a very low number of people aware, and very low people who share a narrative with me, do I need a strategy that is focused on inbound marketing activities, creating relevant content, making them follow the same state of mind that I want people to have before making a decision? Yeah, so it's about, you check your conversion funnel, you see where is the link, what is the leak of this funnel, and you make a decision on the type of action that you need to make. Do people drop off because they realize it's not important for them, or it's a matter of price, or it's a matter of them not being bold enough to make a fast decision? Yeah. But indeed, Rafael, both can be used at the same time, and it is better to combine them. Yes, indeed. And now this is a little bit what we wanted to do with you, basically. We want to build a commercial plan and a conversion funnel. So thinking the type of actions that you think are doable, setting objectives, setting KPIs, key performance indicators, and thinking what could go wrong and what type of actions we could do to improve those numbers. Basically, we will share an Excel file with you and discuss the activities of a commercial or a marketing plan, comment the hypothesis of the conversion funnel. That's the question that Marie was asking in the beginning of the session, and then discuss if there's a way to improve conversion of users let's say viewers into consumers. Yeah. So I'm gonna share my screen now. Yeah. Is it open? No. So I shared the Excel file with you because it's easier maybe if you can navigate. Now the idea is we need to I use the example of the forest bathing, but we can have different ones. We need to define a product or service and start thinking what type of objectives do we have, how these let's say link with the funnel, yeah, with the conversion funnel, and what goals in terms of target people we have, and how many of them, which percentage of them will be converted into sales. Yeah. Is that more or less clear? Would you like to think about it 5 minutes and then give me an idea? I would like to hear from you on the blank, and then we will try to order them and start, let's say, narrowing down the scope of the commercial plan. Cool. Then have 5 minutes and we'll discuss. Hello. I'm gonna do a first example, as Carmen is asking. I wanted to see where would you go intuitively, but I'm gonna share an example for you. So, objectives in a commercial plan can be linked to, let's say, the different stages of the conversion funnel, but also to maximizing or giving, let's say, salience to some of the dimensions of the product, price, etc., etc. One example could be, if we're thinking about forest bathing, general objective could be increasing the number of people testing forest bathing for first time. Yeah. And a different one could be increasing the number of recurrent users. Yep. From here, we can derive narrower example objectives. It could be schools, or it could be all the people, or it could be families. And we can derive specific actions, cold calling, it could be letters, it could be newsletters, it could be social media ads, yeah? And we could have several actions under the same general objective, okay? But for simplicity, we thought it's easier if we go only with one for now. Yeah? Is that a bit clearer? And in specific objective, we have to think a number of clients. I would like you in target to define the number of clients, but I would say not clients, number of people impacted, number of people called, number of people reached with a letter. Yeah. For instance, I'm gonna do one example. I have one goal, which is increasing the number of people testing forest bathing for first time. And my specific objective is to reach out schools in a way of, widening the number of my customer base. My action will be cold calling all primary schools in my region. Yeah. And my target is, let's say, or it could be also personal visits to schools. Yes, could be both. Personal visits to schools. And my target in the first month or in the first 3 months, let's say, is to visit, let's say, 4 schools every week during 12 weeks. Oops. I think someone translated the whole Excel file. Please don't don't translate the whole Excel, because we are sharing a screen. Yeah, now it's in English again. Yeah, so we expect to reach 48 schools, and from there, our goal for sales would be, let's say, imagine this will last for 3 months. Our goal will be 10 sales. Yeah. With this in mind, we can do an initial approach to the funnel. Okay. Awareness. For the visits to schools, we expect 48 visits. For consideration, we will do a follow-up call, and we're expecting, let's say, 36 of them to reply. For the engagement, we will make a contract or visit proposal. Yeah. And we expect 24 of them to be interested. And school visits, biosphere reserve, we expect 10. Sorry, this doesn't go here, it goes here. We expect 10 of them to finally purchase. And this is how, from our plan, we can start making hypotheses about the conversion funnel, the number of people who is reached out, and those who have a specific interest, those who want to learn about a specific visit they could do, and those that finally visit us. Yeah? We'll give you 5 more minutes to think about it on your own, and then we'll follow up with an additional example. thoughts, ideas, comments? I see. Carmen says, our specific goal is to have a close relationship with our clients. That's a very good point. So, yes, that's amazing, Carmen. So we have a general objective that would be increasing the number of recurrent users. We have a specific objective that would be establish close, long-lasting, and trust-based relationships with clients. Yeah. And we could have different actions below this this goal. Yeah, let's say 2 for now for simplicity. What actions could we make to establish close, long-lasting, and trust-based relationships? We could say that we make follow-up calls after the visit to see if they are feeling better, for instance. That's one option. But we could also offer packages, multiple session, yes. I would say, I think that the idea of give discount tickets when they book several activities together, that's a potential action under the idea of increasing the number of recurrent users. But I wouldn't say that this action on its own helps to establish close, trust-based relationships. Yes? This would go more along the lines of, let's say, increasing the number of increasing the return per customer. No, so we could have this type of activities, discount tickets when they book several activities together. But this does not necessarily create trust. Whereas presence, yes, package after the first session, this is indeed a way of building trust, because you do make people feel that you care about that specific case and it's not a general offer. Yes? Yes, I think that the WhatsApp group is very interesting as well. Anka, community, WhatsApp group. How like saying ask for feedback and then apply it. Yes. I'm not sure whether that would itself lead to recurrent use, but we can think about it. Ask for feedback and apply it. Yeah. And same reason, no? If we have, let's say, a customer base of, let's say, 100 people, yeah, potential 100 people who already visited our biosphere reserve. How many of them do we expect to make a follow-up call to? Let's say maybe not all of them, no? Maybe some didn't work out and you already know, no? So maybe it's just 60. How many of them do we expect to encourage to be in a WhatsApp group? Well, maybe 60 as well. So that's a little bit the idea. Setting targets for each action and building hypotheses on the number of final sales that will come from that action. Yep. Again, we go back to our panel. Yep. And we start deriving from the different levels of the funnel, how many of them would end up indeed doing a new purchase and would become loyal. Yeah. I think another good example for a commercial plan is increasing the number of bookings. I said through the website, but basically what I mean here is the number of bookings that we did not, let's say, act proactively. So those that come from inbound marketing. Yeah. That's the typical action in a commercial plan, because that's what saves costs for businesses. Anything that I can do, let's say, more or less general, and I can do recurrently, and that will keep giving revenue in the following months. Sorry, what did you say, Amal? The number of recurring users who come back to the place shouldn't be less than the number of persons visiting it target. Yes, it was an example. Yes, indeed. But I was doing this as a separate, let's say, a separate customer segment. But yes, you're right. So as I was saying, typical objective of a commercial plan is increasing the number of people who proactively book something from the website without me having to specifically call them. What should we do from here? Well, that's the examples of social media content, no? Narrative content with influencers. Yeah. Inbound plus outbound. Push notifications, or yeah, social media ads. Sorry, no, that's specific objective. It would be creating a community of people aware of mental health crises and therapies online. Yeah. And what type of actions can we do? Well, social media narratives through influencers, and promoting targeted ads to this community. Yeah. So how many people do we target with the social media narratives? As many as these influencers having followers in social media, like 100,000. Yeah. And from here we start again our funnel, no? Awareness, social media narratives, and we expect 100,000. Consideration, people who will click in the link from the Instagram account. Let's imagine it will be 40% of this 100,000. Yeah, engagement. People who will ask for further information. Imagine it is 0.5% of this 40,000, and purchase is people who respond to our automated welcome. Please select an hour or a booking date, which would be 0.1% of these ones. And we have 20 people who come from the social media narratives that we pushed online. And why is this useful? Okay, basically what we do if we start setting up our objectives, general and specific objectives, our actions and our targets, we build our funnel, and we can start evaluating it. Yeah. How do we do this? Well, basically, did we reach 100,000 viewers with our social media narratives? If yes, okay, no problem. If no, do we need to change the partnership with an influencer, or do we need to improve our visual identity? Do we need to improve the script? What's the issue with the social media content that it is not reaching the 100,000 people that we expected? If we do reach the 100,000 people, but we do not have 40,000 clicks in our link in the Instagram account, well, is it good enough? No? If no, is the content good enough? Do people need a more direct? Yes. So it would be outbound push in order to make the conversion. Yeah. Do you see how you make a hypothesis based on the goal, the number of sales that you had? And if the conversion fails at any point in the funnel, you ask yourself, what is it that it's not working? Yeah. If I do manage to get 40,000 clicks, but people do not ask for more information in my website, is information not clear, for instance? Or are the packages clear or adapted enough to the customers? Great, Paula, that's an amazing question. Exactly. So one option is to assume we made a mistake in, let's say, the content, no, the visual, the product, the video, the type of ad, but maybe there was a mistake in our assumption, or maybe it's that this objective was wrong from the very beginning. So maybe, for instance, let's say that we are trying to increase the number of bookings through the website from old people. Yeah, from old people in care homes that might need, like some contact with nature and some group therapies. And we make our general objective, yeah, I want old people to come here, specific objective, through care homes, blah, 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 and we have these actions and these actions. And we build our conversion funnel, and these are our expectations, and it doesn't work. And we modify the visual identity, we create better ads, and it keeps not working. Well, maybe it's that the objective wasn't good enough in the first place. Maybe it is not reasonable to expect people to come through the website. Why? Well, because we work in a sector, which is mental health, that people value direct contact, that people value having a quick call with a person that explains them with care and comfort. What do they offer? Why is it interesting? Why is it important for them? So indeed, there is the chance that you need to go back to the general objective and say, hey, that's never going to happen. That cannot be my objective. Yeah. What do you think? Thank you, Paula. Thank you, Amal. Lots of thumbs up. Carmen says, is it important to set realistic goals at the beginning? It's better to think you'll have 100 followers and then get 200 than to think you'll have 500 and only get 200. Look, it is important to be realistic, but of course, it is important to be conservative. What's the risk with being conservative? Imagine that you are very, very conservative in setting goals, you get a larger demand, and then you cannot serve that demand. That's a problem as well, because people might lose interest. If you manage to capture their attention and then on the spot you cannot offer the service, that's also a problem. So yes, my answer would be conservative, but try not to be too conservative. Yeah, because like if people proactively go to your website and ask for something, and at the end of the day you have to tell them, hey, I'm sorry, you cannot come because I didn't have enough people, I didn't hire, I didn't buy enough materials, that's also a problem. And it might be even more problematic this than failing to make a hypothesis. Yeah. I almost ran out of battery. Veronica says, but if you only afford few people, it seems more premium. Yes, that's true. Indeed, that's an option. I don't know if that's the type of positioning that you expect from a mental health services in a biosphere reserve. Maybe you are not looking for the premium effect, but for the accessibility, for the proximity, for the completeness. Yeah, that depends on your value proposition. Paula says, the number of people we expect, is it based on similar businesses or on something else? That's a good question. I would say there are two things to take into consideration. Similar businesses that you might know, you could also rely on research. If you hire an expert in marketing, they will know in digital marketing, they will know how many people will receive the impact on social media and what's their average return on advertising. No, what's their average conversion from viewers to clickers. But in other aspects, it must be based in your resources. If your marketing strategy, your commercial strategy goes through personal visits, that is based in your capacity. Okay, who am I? How many of us are in here? How many calls can we make in a day? And how many of them do we expect we can convert into something else? Yeah, so in some instances, especially in the physical parts of the commercial plan, it is based on your capacity. How many calls can you make? How many visits can you make? How many letters can you send? Anka says, if you are a reserve, maybe you don't want thousands of people going there every day. Even if they respect the nature, the impact will be high. Yes, Anka, that's right. I guess that comes from the idea of not having a very large demand. That's a very good point indeed. Yeah. Ideas, questions, comments. There is another typical, let's say, general objective for many businesses, which is activating passive users. Okay, this would be, for instance, encouraging people who read our website or social media proactively. to buy. Yeah, we might have a very good social media content that it is interesting enough for an average person using Instagram, but it doesn't push people into actually buying anything. They are content enough with the with the content online. But also in the case of a biosphere reserve, passive users could be people who just go for a hike or for a walk in the area, no? So encouraging visitors not linked to the service to purchase. Yeah, these are the type of people who are somewhat passive users of some element of our business model, the social media platform, the environment, but are not customers of the service. So in these cases is when you need specific actions to activate these consumers. Yeah. What could this be? Well, for people on social media would be specific, let's say, outbound marketing, like push notifications. Yeah. And for the others, could be something else, no? Could be, let's say, a promotion, low profile promotion in the reserve, or like a more sort of inbound marketing, low profile promotion in the reserve as part of a healing narrative. And it could also be outbound marketing, like offering the service in some billboards, let's say, in the reserve, with a specific anchor, no? Like, do you enjoy nature? Enjoy it with us as part of group sessions, etc., etc. Yeah. And you could have different type of actions linked to these different type of objectives. What else? Do you have other ideas of potential objectives that could be in a commercial plan? So once we do this for all the potential actions, we start associating resources, no? Like for the visits to school, we need car and gas. We need time and 2 people to visit the school, etc. Yeah. Satisfaction client after sales service. Yes, that's, thank you, Amal. That would be here, no? Increasing the number of recurrent users. We could have this ask for feedback and apply it, and we could also have the satisfaction client and after sales service. Yeah. And then what we usually put in the as part of the commercial plan is, okay, that's very beautiful. All the ideas you had here are amazing, but you need to do something before starting any of this, which is, okay, do we need a narrative? No, yeah, like an emotional narrative to build up the sense of awareness. We need attractive audiovisual content. Yes, and we need, for instance, strong alliances with local stakeholders, schools, care homes. What else could be? Even big enterprises, no? Might be interested. Yeah, so we need some operational actions that will help us actually start doing some of these objectives, no? And what would be this? Well, it could be related to writing the content of speech in a fair, or it could be explaining it in the radio. Here we need to hire a digital marketing expert to design ads on Instagram. Yeah. Here it would be list of contact details from school principals. Yeah. That's a little bit how you start creating a commercial plan. Yes, you set objectives, general objectives, specific actions, targets, and an assumption on the conversion funnel of every action of yours that will allow you to evaluate and change, adapt each of these actions. Yes, I hope it is clear. Let me see, no more comments. Jaula said, offering couples or group discounts could help reduce hesitation since people may feel more comfortable trying the experience. Yes, amazing. That's a great idea. It would be in the reduce hesitation. Yeah, I mean, look, it could be part of the autonomous, no, of the proactive bookings, because it's like we need an adapted product for we'll say under the increasing the number of bookings through the website, we will set a specific objective that is reducing hesitation among potential customers. And one option would be couples or group discounts. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's a little bit what we had planned for today. Again, you will have access to this material all together. All the materials from all the sessions will be available for you as tools. Don't worry, Rafael, it was no problem. So yeah, you will have this table available so that you can tweak it and touch it for your projects. That was it for today. Thank you very much. And we'll see you. Well, I think Veronica needs to say something. Yeah.
Just to finish, thank you, everybody. We will have all the information as soon as we finish all the workshops, and all the documents will be available soon. Thank you so much for the explanation. We were talking a lot about all the different issues that we have talked here, and see you next week.